Yo, what's happening, guys? Let me know if the audio is okay. Video might be a little weird. I'm doing this on a different monitor than I normally do it on, so I don't know if the resolution is going to show up good, but I'll leave it to you guys to let me know. Cool. Plant is dying. Good, glad to hear. All my fucking plants died. Happening, guys. All right, shower's here. We're ready to go. What's happening, Charles? I'm just gonna give it like another minute, and then I'll just get going. And yeah, I'm gonna try and keep this video right in around an hour. We got my hockey team's season opener tonight, so I want to catch that game. Being from Canada and all. It's about as Canadian as maple syrup, so I definitely got to watch that shit. Gordon, yeah, happy to chat a little bit of forex. I just got smoked on a fucking gold trade and on a fucking UCAD trade, so I'm happy to tell you the fuck went wrong there. So I'm just gonna give it till this timer gets to 5 minutes, and then let's just get going. And whoever's not here, they can watch the recording. But main purpose of this video, I'm just gonna be talking about Bitcoin, kind of my high time frame view, what I'm seeing on the low time frame. Excuse me. And then, yeah, more than happy to take some requests on forex, anything you guys might want to see. I'm just gonna fucking pour this gross fucking mug out. It's getting fucking cold. That's all I know for sure. It's getting fucking cold. So nice in September, and now it's fucking gonna start snowing soon. Fucking bullshit. Moving to LA, I've decided. Or fucking Vietnam. I don't know. Okay. Let's just fucking go. 30 people here. That's good enough to get started in my books. So what's up, guys? Nice to connect again. I know it's been a couple of weeks since my last live stream, but happy to do another one here. So plan for this evening, this afternoon, wherever the fuck you are in the world. Just going to discuss Bitcoin, just kind of my thoughts on the macro, high time frame view, as well as kind of what I'm seeing, more on the low time frame, and then from there. If you guys have any questions, anything like that, more than happy to dive into it. One of the topics I mentioned I was going to cover in this stream is just kind of my thoughts on the difference between investing versus trading when it comes to Bitcoin specifically. I'm not talking too much about altcoins because I personally am not an altcoin guy for the most part. There's plenty of other people online who are much better at trading altcoins than I am. I just don't have the time to care. There's too many of them. Sometimes the moves are so quick and erratic. It's like, I don't give a fuck. They go down 99% of their existence. So, if you're lucky enough to catch them in an uptrend for the tiny amount of time they are, of course, unless you're shorting altcoins, which you can, good on you. I guess maybe that's a strategy, only short altcoins. Maybe there's something there. But regardless, we're going to talk about Bitcoin because that's what I trade primarily when it comes to crypto. And we'll go from there. So sometimes I like coming on this ideas page on TradingView and just laughing at some of the stuff I see on here because some of these charts, alert, reversal in the bag, no later than October 6th or 7th, proud clown, like as if you can make any sort of, like, what the fuck is going on here? Some of these charts are just fucking absolutely autistic, and it is unbelievable. And it's kind of worrisome because some of them have the same ideas as me, but some of them do not. I don't know. It's interesting. Buy the bearish market. Oh god. So I don't know. So the amount of views some of these get, 17,000 views here. I don't know. I think it's fucking hilarious. But is this the crypto gat? Like from Twitter? Interesting. But yeah, funny to always come in here and look and just see, what other traders are thinking about and considering, when they're looking at their charts. So one thing, kind of with that I'll mention is, I try to, not focus too much on what other people are doing. It's very easy if you spend a lot of time on crypto Twitter, to get caught up in the sentiment of other people, of online. There's this whole fucking narrative around, I'm counter trading, Twitter, I'm counter trading this, I'm counter trading that. At the end of the day, is there a reliable way to collect this data? A lot of times those polls are just fucking trash, right? Like, first of all, those people voting on the polls, are they voting honestly? Do those people actually trade? There's so many different ways that, you can gauge sentiment or who you're counter trading, or the long and short ratio, or, just you have a list of people you follow. I think the best way to have some sort of edge around sentiment and that kind of thing is to have a list of people that you follow that you like to counter trade specifically, right? Trying to counter trade the masses, I don't think works as well. I think it's kind of stupid because I don't think most people trade. But if you have certain accounts that you're like, hey, this guy's usually fucking wrong, then absolutely you can, add that to your system. But it's not enough to just be bullish because everyone's bearish. That's not a system. So I usually tell people to ignore that kind of shit, especially when you're learning. It's very easy to fuck up your own trades by looking too much on Discords and Twitters. Focus on the chart. If the chart looks bearish to you and you see a bearish setup, fucking take it. Don't let anyone, in a Discord or on Twitter sway you otherwise. Me included, me especially. I get shit wrong all the fucking time. So, I find one thing that I notice a lot in Discords and on Twitter is people love to speak in absolutes. Like, we won't go to 8K. How many times do you see we won't see sub 4-digit Bitcoin again, or 4-digit Bitcoin again? We won't do this, or price has to do that. The market price, it doesn't have to abide by any fucking logic that you have. There's that old saying, the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. I definitely believe in that. So stop speaking in absolutes. Price doesn't have to do anything, right? Just because there's an order block there doesn't mean it has to bounce. Just because there's your indicator says this doesn't mean shit has to happen. So I find that something very common in new traders especially is trying to have these super kind of concrete ideas about exactly what the market is going to do. And what can happen when you think like that is you can ignore data that might be telling you otherwise, right? So I'm going to get into this a little bit more, throughout the video here, what I mean by that. But it's like cognitive dissonance, essentially. So let's start with Bitcoin. We're looking at, the weekly chart here. What's happening, guys? All right, so looking at the weekly chart here. So for those of you that follow me on Twitter, on Discord, hopefully you know by now, because this is what I've been saying for, since July, is that my kind of high time frame, thesis is that we are going to form, the swing low, right? If this is going to be an uptrend, right? My idea is that the swing low is going to form somewhere around here. Specifically, I like this weekly order block here. Demand zone, fucking whatever the fuck you want to call it. There's SR here, obviously, as well. The way I trade is order blocks. I call them order blocks. I'm not, so deep in the fucking Kool-Aid that I, think institutions are using these areas or anything like that. It's demand zone, supply and demand, support and resistance, tomato, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But, the down candle before this up move. So I marked this out in July. And my plan was to be bullish here for the next leg. And this was my plan for months. And funny is not the right word here. But at the time, a lot of people told me all sorts of shit. So when I originally posted this, I also did a podcast on Forex Stop Hunter, Dale Pinkert's page, and I called this same move. And funnily enough is I posted this chart on Twitter publicly for you guys here. Okay, and then I did Forex Stop Hunters thing literally here. And I said, I think we're going to come into this area, and this is where the next higher low is going to form before continuation to the upside, because I personally believe that the low is in. I think we're in the beginnings of a bull market. So this was my fucking plan. So does price have to do this? Absolutely not. But this was my plan, and funnily enough, right, I said this, and then I said this on Dale's podcast, and we went back to 12K, like literally the day, within the following days of, me saying that on his podcast, and then obviously a few weeks after, me posting this. But at the end, I saw a lot of similar charts showing up around the same time, after the same time. I'm not trying to claim that I was the first one to call it. I saw a lot of people expecting this area to get hit, Loom Dart being one of them, and other solid traders, but also a lot of shit tier traders calling for the same area, which is always slightly disheartening. But this was my plan, and it's funny because I saw a lot of other people pile into this same idea, and then now that we're here, all of a sudden it's like we're going to 4K, we're going to 3K. This is going to be the start of a new bear market, and just craziness, and all of that could be true. We could absolutely, the bottom could not be in. This could be a fucking lower high relative to here, I guess, and then we can make a lower low. I don't fucking know. I'm not trying to predict, like I'm Nostradamus, what's going to happen. I'm just trying to have a plan, and then I'm going to try and form my strategy from an investing and trading perspective around that macro plan and go from there, right? And then if I'm wrong, I'm fucking wrong. The thing is especially on Twitter, is everyone wants clout, right? Everyone wants to retweet that old chart where they called bottom, those, hey, price hit the 200 tweeted. It's like, I don't give a fuck, right? Like if you're going to retweet the tweet, sure. If you called it, great, but like, did you trade it, right? Because clout, I told you so that shit doesn't pay the bills. That shit doesn't pay rent. That shit, your clout tokens aren't redeemable anywhere. They're as useless as pretty much all of crypto. So it's if it pumps your ego up, great. By all means, retweet the fuck out of it. If I'm right about this being the next swing low before continuation, absolutely I'm going to retweet it and just be absolutely insufferable online because I'm going to have traded it. I called it in advance. I'm gonna be happy that my plan worked out. B, I'm a hypocrite, so fuck you. But the bottom line is this, especially if you're learning, right? Don't focus on trying to like guess what the fucking market's gonna do because you want to be like, I fucking told you so, I closed the bottom. Focus on making money, right? So the reason I try and have these tweets where and posts and analysis where I'm trying to determine the macro direction of the market is because I'm gonna use that analysis to then determine what I'm doing going forward from a strategic perspective in terms of investing and trading on various different time frames. So this has been my thoughts for some time. And now that we're here, all of a sudden people's tunes has changed. This is super bearish now when, 2 months ago, everyone wanted to buy 7 to 8K. Now we're here. Everyone thinks they're going to buy 6K. We absolutely could go lower, but this is my plan for now. If we start closing below 7K, even if we start closing below 7,500, I'm just going to add a little bit here, maybe to include this wick, right? If we start closing below 7,500, I'm going to reevaluate. But for now, this is my plan. So macro bottom forming around here in terms of continuation. Absolutely, we can wick lower. But my idea is that we should kind of maintain closes above 7,600, 7,500 for this idea to be right. But I'm still bullish as long as we're not, as long as we're closing above 7K, really, that's kind of where I'm like, okay, if we start closing below 7K, I think I'm wrong, and maybe I need to aim $1,000 lower at 6K. So how am I actioning this information? It's all fine and dandy to draw an order block and post it, and then if it hits it, post it again, and then if it moves away, post it again. But what am I doing, right? So from an investing perspective, I sold some spot Bitcoin above like 11K. I had some sales at 12K, some at 13. I had a bunch in the kind of 10 to 11 area. I didn't sell all of my spot by any means, but I sold some, and I'm starting to rebuy that in this area. I'm rebuying it in this area. If I can get it below 8K, I'm buying it. For me personally, I'm very well aware that we could go lower than 7K, and this is a reality that I'm willing to live with. These are spot buys. There's no leverage. These are long-term holds for me. We're almost 50% off of this high, and I'm a long-term bull on Bitcoin. At the end of the day, I do think it will go through all-time high again. So if that's the case, I'm interested in owning Bitcoin under 10,000, under 8,000, and I have enough buys from here. I had a lot of buys at that first little consolidation we had after breaking the floor. I posted buying here. You can go see the tweet. I posted about buying in here, and then it dropped like another $2,000. But hey, people were making fun of me, like, oh, you're an idiot, the bottom's not in, we're going to 1K, whatever. I bought more down here, and then only a few months later, we were above all of those buys, and all of a sudden, all of my spot buys were well in the green. My average price is below 6,000. I have some really good buys. I have some kind of shittier buys, but overall, I'm still up well on those buys, and I'm happy with it. So I'm okay buying here and having to average down. These are spot buys. I think Bitcoin's going to go through new all-time high sooner than later. So why wouldn't I want to be involved? If something happens in the market that changes that, maybe we have some crazy fucking dump and we are entering some new paradigm where, we have an echo bubble, whatever, I can change my analysis, right? And react. That's the thing. I don't care about the clout of calling it online on Twitter. I don't. I just care about making money and preserving my capital, right? And if you don't believe me, go look at my fucking tweets. There's a few of you on Twitter that don't let me forget bad calls I make. Fucking have at it, right? Like, I have tweets buying here. I had a tweet when we were at like 3,600 before we had the first kind of like jump. Like right before, like, I think it was not this one, but before like this move or something, I had a tweet being like Bitcoin to 2K and F to 50. And then like the next fucking day, like within hours of me sending the tweet, we started fucking going up. So like, I didn't delete the tweet. It's still there. You can go find it. But the thing is I don't fucking care, right? Because now I'm going to buy, right? And once we flipped this level, I was bullish. So I don't really care about, trying to say I called it. If I called it, fucking great. But at the end of the day, you can react to what the market is telling you. And if you're so concerned about looking right on Twitter, TradingView, Discord, wherever, you're going to end up fucking yourself in the long term. It's about making money. So focus on that, especially if you're fucking new. So long-term buys, I'm interested here. I'm willing to average down as well. There's a lot of volume that was traded in this area here, from here to here, not just here, but also previously. A lot of volume here. If you throw on your like VPVR tool, it's gonna be a big old fucking volume node going right through here. So there's a lot of demand here, in my opinion. I could see us wicking, below these lows, into this area here, maybe fill in some of this wick. But my idea is that we will regain these levels quite quickly. Filling in this wick would also be in line with here. This is the next area of support. If we do lose, 7,500, this up move before the initial 6K breakdown, 6,600 is, an area where I would expect a bounce at least, or potentially where the low is going to form. So we could come lower. Absolutely, we could come lower. But my plan for now is to be buying in this weekly order block. Anytime we spend below it, according to what I think is going to happen, is not going to last very long. So I'm interested in buying, in this area from an investing perspective, okay? We're 50% off the high. We've had a huge drop. Every time we had like a 40% pullback, even in the bear market, right? Huge pullback here. Getting bearish after the huge pullback usually was a bad idea, right? Because you got a big bounce. Getting bearish again here. What is this pullback, right? 45% bounce, right? Obviously, we didn't form a new higher high and we continued down and we ended up breaking low. But why are you getting bearish after the fucking pullback? Like, why are you getting bearish after this 40% move? The time to be bearish was up here, forming a lower high, not trying to guess when the lower low, right? If you just bought 6K every time, even though it's a bear market, now we know it gave out, you were right more often than you were wrong, right? Like you had a nice trade. Buy 6K here, you win. You buy 6K here, you win. You buy 6K here, you win. You buy here, you win. And then eventually you get fucking smoked. But that's okay. That's asymmetric risk reward, right? You're up. A lot of people gave Flood a lot of shit every time he was bullish at 6K, but it worked out more times than it didn't, right? So why get bearish after the 40% drop, right? Why not, even if it's just going to bounce a bit, why not bank on that potentially happening? Like to me, if we're going to continue down, let's assume that this is going to break down and go lower. Let's say the bottom is not in and we're going to go to 4K. To me, just based on the weekly, after dumping this huge dump, it makes sense to come up to this area before continuing. So wouldn't I want to be involved here, right? From a trading perspective, absolutely. So, this is a huge range here. So, this is how I'm playing it. Low leverage longs, rebuying some spot anytime we get below 8K. That's my plan for now. From an investing perspective, long-term perspective. Swing trading, again, low leverage longs, I think are the move in this weekly order block. For me, at least, that's what I'm doing. Low leverage, right? So I'm trying to catch as close to the bottom as possible. I don't need to catch the exact bottom, but if let's assume we're going to go like this after, I would love to catch, the meat of the move. I don't have to catch the bottom and the top. I would love to catch the meat of the move though, right? You don't need to call bottom and tops. You just need to be in line with the trend. Low leverage, so I can average down a bit. I also don't mind being underwater for a while and a little bit on a low leverage position. Again, high time frame close to like 7K. If that happens, I'll likely reevaluate and probably try again lower. But I think, from an RR perspective, I think it makes sense to be long here versus short. It's just my opinion. From a day trading perspective, I would use, and I have been using, I've taken longs and shorts in this range. Every time we have a explosive move or a large move, you'll get some volatility, right? So big move down and we've now got some volatility. To me, I use this weekly order block basically as a range. You could also just draw a range here, right? You could say this is your range low, this is your range high, right? You could say this is your range high, this is your range low. Trade it as a range until it's not a range, right? And if you're a day trader, we now have some nice opportunities to be buying near the bottom of the range, looking for sells in the top, and then once it breaks out of the range, there you go, right? So I've been treating this as a range, and so I've been looking for using the top of the range as SR, the middle of the range as SR, the bottom we haven't hit it yet, but when we get close there, right? SFP right at the bottom, there's a long, right? We're holding it right now. I was actually in a short yesterday, and I ended up cutting it because we were failing to close below this level. I'm treating it like a range. So, embrace the volatility if you're a trader. I know people were complaining about the barely any volatility we had. Well, if we've got some volatility now, to me, it's still pretty low, the volatility. I wouldn't be staring at this like watching paint dry, but to each their own, whatever you want to do. If you want to scalp it on the 1 minute or whatever, I would focus on using this as a range. But in my opinion, this is a high time frame weekly order block. And per my system, if we're in a high time frame demand zone, like a weekly order block, my low time frame trading is going to be slanted towards longs, because per my system, the idea is that in this demand zone, longs are going to be higher probability than shorts. So that's my thoughts there. It's tough for, I think, a lot of people to separate the price of Bitcoin and the market structure, right? It's like, oh, it's below 10K or it's 8K, it's going to 6K, it's going to 4K. If you're a trader, you just want volatility. Does it go up? Does it go down? Does it move in large ranges? What's the average daily range? Can I get in? Can I long it and get out higher? Can I short it and get out lower? That's all that matters. Volatility. Forget the price of the asset. Turn off this fucking axis and just focus on the market structure and can you find a trade, right? That's what you should be doing as a trader. And it's hard to do with Bitcoin because obviously Bitcoin, a lot of you own a lot of it and probably are overexposed, frankly. So the price of it matters. And if it goes down, even if you're short, you might own a bunch of spot, might be freaking out anyway. So to me, it's like if you're trading Bitcoin, forget the price of Bitcoin. Just focus on volatility. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin is an asset, for the most part, makes the most sense to long, especially on a site like BitMEX, because when you long Bitcoin on BitMEX and you get it right, you earn Bitcoin and the value of that Bitcoin has gone up. So to me, Bitcoin makes more sense just generally from a trading perspective to long. But again, if you're day trading, focus on market structure, focus on volatility if it's there. Don't worry so much about the asset price and being like, well, it's going to 4K, so I should only look for shorts. If there's a bullish setup intraday, fucking take it. In terms of altcoins, I don't know. To me, I don't understand why people are so concerned with trying to pick the bottom on altcoins. It's really hard to do. The best thing, in my opinion, to do with alts is to wait for, here's me trying to pick the bottom on ETH. I bought it here. That was a nice trade. But, for the most part, you're going to end up buying a lot of, bearish retests, right? And that's something that, how many times, the Twitter accounts, right? How many times have we seen calls for alt season in this entire fucking downtrend? Every fucking up move was a call for alt season. When I really want to get into, FBTC is when it starts turning previous support floors, right, into previous, floors into support, right? So like if we get above here, yeah, absolutely interested. On an even nearer term basis, right, you could say we're getting at an interesting spot right now where, this was a floor. We've oscillating around it. We're kind of holding above. I mean, this is an interesting area for Ethereum for sure. I think, we're kind of sandwiched between this area here. If we can reclaim this kind of 0.022 area, absolutely I'm interested in that. Even if it's to just go to here. You know what I mean? But like there's going to be opportunities. You can absolutely trade, these, if it gets above here, I'm interested in trading it to here. Sure enough, we came up, rejected. So there's been so many calls for alt season, all to be, just smacked down by, another bearish retest, right, of a previous level. So you have to be aware, right? Is this alt season or is this just a lower high before we continue down? So, for Cardano, I think you want to see us get above here, above 545, 550, whatever you want to call it. Above here, absolutely, I'm interested in a potential short-term long, but I'm not going to try and guess that this is the bottom because this very likely, or very just as likely as it could be the bottom, it could also just continue down. So I mean, I think a lot of people have this emotional attachments to alts because they've made a bunch of money on alts, probably lost a bunch of money on alts. You know, they've been in an alt season before. They've seen something go 3, 4, 500%, 1,000% gainers. But the likelihood of you catching a 100x move on an alt, you know, with enough size for it to really matter and then taking profit at the right time, it's pretty slim. I think most of you would be better off spending that time learning how to fucking trade, you know, leverage trade Bitcoin, and you can make more money more easily, more consistently. You know, trying to long an asset that goes down for 99% of its existence, it just seems fucking ass backwards to me. But hey, whatever you want to do. With that being said, you know, Ethereum, the closer to $100 you can get it, the better, in my opinion, in terms of like a long-term hold. And I'm going to be judged right now, but the 3 coins that I actually own spot of are Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Ripple. That's it. I don't hold any other fucking spot altcoins or anything like that. To me, this is the same idea as Bitcoin. I think the macro bottom for the next move in Ethereum forms in this area here between like 175 and 153. So if you can buy it in here, same thing. Some of the ETH I sold, you know, up above 250, 300 bucks. I'm rebuying it down here. So, you know, Ripple, same thing. I mean, to me, Ripple, it's like, you know, I mean, who knows? This instrument could be absolutely cucked. I don't know. But I like Ripple at like 20 to 25 cents and see what happens. But, you know, absolutely could be wrong. Absolutely prepared to sell at a loss if I have to. That's trading. You got to live with it, right? Put your money behind your ideas and live with the fucking results. So I think, you know, what you'll see and what I saw, especially right before this dump happened, is I saw a lot of very confident calls, you know, floating around on Twitter. Everyone was watching the same triangle, whatever you want to call it, descending triangle, whatever it was. And everyone was watching the same thing, but my idea for this happening, I thought it was going to happen sooner. I thought we were going to dip in here sooner. But to me, you know, Bitcoin has done exactly this before. Like, is it going to happen again? Of course it could happen. It could not. I don't fucking know, right? But if you're concerned, and rightly so, we broke down from a 90-day consolidation, right? So rightly so, you know, it's bearish, I guess, in that sense. But to me, I was expecting us to drop here. And if you're not trying to pick the bottom, well, guess where you get super fucking long? On a reclaim of here, right? If we reclaim the floor here, you get long as fuck, in my opinion. If you're not getting long down here. So you don't have to guess, right? You can wait for confirmation. People say confirmation in trading doesn't exist. I disagree. But, you know, that's kind of my plan. Everyone was watching this, expecting a move. You know, to me, this would be beautiful. Is it too easy? Is that going to happen? I don't know. I posted a tweet about this having happened in Bitcoin before. We've had 40, 50% pullbacks, or 40 plus percent pullbacks, excuse me, and regain in the form of a descending triangle, regained them quickly after and continued up in bull markets. It's happened before, so it can definitely happen again. Doesn't mean it has to though, but that's my fucking thoughts. You know, so I don't see a reason to be super fucking bearish down here. I mean, absolutely we can continue going down. But if we start closing, you know, down below this, you know, that's how I play it. To me, it's like, fuck this. I think this is the bottom. And, you know, I don't think we ranged up here for 3 months to just completely retrace this entire fucking move. But I could absolutely be wrong. Absolutely, I can be wrong. You know, like I said, one of the differences between me and I think a lot of the other people online is I don't have emotional attachment to the money or to my calls. You know, I have a lot of money in crypto, a lot by, I'm sure, you know, some people's standard, but if all of it went to zero tomorrow, if crypto disappeared from the face of the earth, I'm still paying my bills. You know, I'm still living life how I want to live it. I'm not so invested in crypto that if it goes to zero, I'm fucked. And if you are, I mean, yeah, I feel like you should be worried if it is potentially going to go back to 4K because that could be cutting your net worth in half from here. But to me, it's like, if it goes to fucking zero, it goes to fucking zero. I hope it doesn't because it would suck, but it's not going to be the end of me. I don't have an emotional attachment to the money. And that's something I learned when trading Forex, right? Like when I take a Forex trade, it's either the money's either the risk, right? Let's say it's $1,000 for the trade. The risk, it's either $1,000 is out of my account. As soon as I take a trade, it's out of my account. It's either coming back as $2,000 or $3,000 or it's gone. And I don't care one way or another. And I don't have an emotional attachment to my calls. As much as I might fucking engage with trolls on Twitter and stuff sometimes, usually I'm super baked or drunk when I'm doing that anyways, and it's entertaining more than anything. But I don't care if I'm wrong. I have lots of examples where I'm wrong. I just called like the top on gold yesterday, and it pumped $20 literally in my sleep. So absolutely I was wrong. I don't care, right? I move on to the next trade. Now I'm looking for longs. I was looking for shorts, now I'm looking for longs. You know what I mean? So you should have that attitude too. Don't fucking care what anyone says on fucking Twitter about your charts, about your trading. Focus on what matters. Are you making money? If you are, continue doing whatever you're doing. Try and be emotionalist. Try and be logical. Try and be systematic, right? When it comes to the markets, that's definitely the type of mindset you guys should all try and adopt when it comes to trading. But like I said, the only reason I'm trying to make this call that this might be the bottom is because this is what is going to influence all my trading investing decisions personally. This is my plan. This is what I'm going to do. I don't give a fuck what you're going to do. And if you decide to follow me and it doesn't work, well, that sucks. Just know if you lose money doing what I do, just know I'm also losing money. So strong opinions loosely held, right? So people, like I said earlier, so want to have those concrete price has to do this, these Nostradamus, I call it the fucking bottom calls. And, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with having a bias, but when you hold that bias so closely that you reject any information that might go against that bias or prove you to be wrong, right? You'll ignore it, right? If you're ignoring all of that information, you could end up fucking yourself. You could be an uber bull being like, price has to go to 4K. And then maybe it becomes very clear that we're actually, not going to 4K and it's going to continue up. But you're so set in your mind that we're going to 4K that you ignored any info that said otherwise. You're only fucking yourself, right? And anyone else who listens to you, obviously. But, at the end of the day, those people, that's another conversation. But, I feel bad when people with big followings and stuff, like, it's an interesting debate, I guess, to have. Is it the responsibility of the person with the big following to, make good calls? And if they go wrong, are they at fault for people who listen to them? Look at how many big accounts were shilling altcoins at the top. Is it the big account's fault that alts got crushed and a bunch of people got ruined and lost money because they listened to them? Or is it the people who are taking financial advice from an anonymous person on the internet? Is it their fault? I kind of lean towards the latter. I think people should be held, you should be aware, especially if you have a following, you should be aware of what you're posting and realize that people might listen. But at the end of the day, if Darwinism, in my opinion, if you're listening to some stranger on the internet tell you what to do and you're putting your money in there blindly with not doing any of your own research or analysis and it goes wrong, like, that's on you, bro. You know what I mean? You can't go put $50 on a blackjack hand and then follow the rules exactly and then blame, the fucking casino or blackjack. You're the one who, put the money up. And at the end of the day, if you didn't do your proper research, I think you're the one who pulled the trigger. At the end of the day, it's on you. But same goes for this, right? Like, this is what I'm going to do. And if it doesn't work, just know that I'm going to lose money. So as simple as that. But yeah, it's like cognitive dissonance, right? Information is king. I think it's important to have information and perspective from other traders. It can be good to see. You obviously don't want it to influence your trading and be like, well, this account said this, so I'm going to do this. But I do think there is value in knowing what other people are doing and not ignoring facts that might go against what you have in your mind. Know where you're wrong, right? It's all about knowing where you're wrong and being okay admitting that you're wrong. So, I mean, obviously, it could definitely go lower than this weekly block, but personally, my plan is that I don't think it will. I'm macro bullish on Bitcoin, so even if it goes to 6K, I do think we'll see new highs above 14K within the next 6 to 12 months. That's just my opinion. If it goes, below 6K and back down to 4K, and we're entering a new bear market, then absolutely, I'm gonna have exited and probably taken a big hit, and I'm going to reevaluate my plan and get ready. But I personally think next 6 to 12 months, we're going to see above 14K, maybe even sooner than that. But my plan is kind of October, November. I think will be October, maybe some sideways chop with leading into November. I expect bullishness. And yeah, new highs in the first quarter of 2020, new highs above here, not necessarily above 20K. That's my fucking plan. So I've shared a bunch of levels on Twitter. I like this 72 level as well. Could run those lows into here. I also like, kind of like this area here, 6,600. I like as a level. Right, this level right here lines up very well with that one I was showing you on the daily. So obviously the breakdown below 6K, that would be a good area to look. But yeah, this is my plan, that higher low forms somewhere in here, and then we continue. That's my macro plan, and that's what's justifying my moves on the low time frame from an investing, trading, etc. perspective. And if I'm wrong, I'm fucking wrong. Maybe I'll just get to buy more cheap Bitcoin in the future, cheaper than I thought. But if I'm wrong, I'm gonna lose money. Know that much, right? If I'm long, I'm going to lose money. But it is not out of the question to see this happen. This has happened several times in Bitcoin, in bull markets. I think everyone wanted 7.5K. Now we're down, 8K. Now we're down here. No one wants to buy it. So I don't know. I'm putting my money behind my calls here. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to move on. And I'll just tweet a bunch of bullshit and bury this in my timeline anyways, you fucks. I'm aggressive today. I don't know what's going on. I haven't smoked weed yet, and I need to eat lunch. That's probably why. So I find it's very easy for people to get emotional, right? Like it's crazy how confident people were when we were in this triangle of what was going to happen, and now that we're out of it, just craziness, people flip-flopping, emotional bullshit. And I find that it's very easy for people to get emotional after we see a move like this, like the sky is fucking falling. The best thing you can do is try and remain logical, try and remain systematic. If you were telling me 2 months ago, because I have people that I DM with and stuff, and that I chat in Discords with, you wanted 7 to 8K 2 months ago, and now you're here, and now you're changing your tune. Why? Why did it make sense back then, but not now? What's the difference? What has changed? And maybe there is something that's changed, and maybe you need to go back and say, well, I was wrong to have made that assumption then. But if you were okay with us coming here 3 months ago, why is it not okay now? Right? So I've been preaching this, and I'm going to stay with it, but try and remain logical and systematic. And usually the best buys are after big fucking red candles, right? The best buy on Bitcoin in the last year was after a bunch of straight down when you're scared shitless and you are thinking we're going to 1K. So have a plan, and then when price gets to those levels that you're waiting for, don't all of a sudden change your fucking plan, right? Be logical, be systematic. A trading system has to be systematic. It has to be something that you can repeat. And so if you're changing your fucking strategy and tune every time price moves or gets to a place where you wanted it to go, you don't have a fucking system. You're just fucking so if you want to be successful as a trader, because especially when you start, I don't know how much Bitcoin you have. Maybe that's 10% of all the Bitcoin you own. Maybe you only own one. Maybe you own two, right? It's 0.05, right? If you're emotional, then what's that going to be like if you have more size now? All of a sudden, your risk is 1 Bitcoin if you're wrong, right? How do you think people who trade big size deal? The emotion can't change based on size, right? You have to detach the emotion from the money. Right? It's a trade. Does it fit your system? Is it within, is your risk make sense? Do all these things line up? And if it does, you take the trade. You cannot be emotional. You have to be systematic. You have to separate the emotions from the money. And I think a lot of the reasons it's hard to do in crypto is because people have made a lot of money in crypto. They've lost a lot of money. They don't know the difference between trading and investing, so they don't know, what might make sense on a high time frame versus low time frame, and how, in my opinion, the two things are different, right? I could be shorting Bitcoin even though I'm macro bullish, right? because I can be trading a short based on X, Y, and Z on the lower time frame, but still be macro bullish. Those are two different things. A lot of you, I imagine, don't have a solid spot allocation, or maybe you sold your spot early or you bought late. You don't want to get left in the dust like here, or you don't want to hold the bag like, this entire time. And, at the end of the day, it's if you're worried about buying too early or too late, have areas, treat your spot like a trade, right? If you think this is the bottom, where are you wrong? Where are you like, those spot buys were too early? Cut the loss and buy again lower, right? Like treat it like a trade. So, you got to understand risk management, and you can use risk management and stops in your spot buys as well. And I do think a lot of people, for the most part, are risking way more than they're willing to lose. And so obviously, when that's the case, of course, emotions are going to run high. If all of a sudden Bitcoin is going back to 4K and you got bills to pay, and if it goes to 4K, you can't pay those bills, I'd be a fucking emotional too. So I think it's best to try and avoid these motions. I think they negatively will affect your trading. The better prepared you are for the markets, the less likely moves like this are going to surprise you. Why was I not freaked out when this happened? Because I wanted price to come here. So, have a high time frame plan of where you want to buy and sell. Same thing as if we go through all-time high again. Where are you selling? Are you who knew 20K was the top, right? Did you sell it? Like, what are the chances you sell it all here? Like, fucking zero, right? So, but once you have to have a plan. So maybe you sell some once we're through all-time high. Then maybe you sell it in, couple $1,000 increments. Have a fucking plan. It's the bottom line. You gotta have a fucking plan, or else there's a good chance you're gonna miss the fucking top and end up, riding this thing all the way fucking down. Because it can continue going up. It's not done yet. How many people thought that the top was not in, right? So fucking many. So have a fucking plan. Know where you want to buy. Know where you want to sell. Realize you're probably not going to catch the exact bottom or the exact top. Have a plan. Understand that if you're buying spot Bitcoin, right, and you're investing in Bitcoin, your time horizon has to be longer than the fucking 5-minute chart, right? When the volatility is as low as it's been, every fucking move on this chart looks like it's going to be a breakout or a breakdown, in up or down, and but we're on the 5-minute chart, right? So sure, if your high time frame level is the day, hourly level, and you execute on the 5 minutes, by all means, right? But from an investing perspective, what the fuck are you doing on the 5-minute chart, right? Zoom the fuck out. Many of you need to zoom the fuck out. I didn't plan for this fucking stream to be so preachy and ranty. I'll fucking cut it out. I've got a few more things I just want to cover here, and then fucking open the floodgates to questions, whatever you guys want to fucking see. But yeah, realize your time horizon has to be longer if you're investing. Don't be afraid to dollar cost average if you're investing. I'm not saying just fucking buy and take it all the way down. Still have a point where you're wrong, but this is a $1,000 range. So if I'm buying up here, I can dollar cost average into here. But I gotta know that I might have to cut it and take a loss. Don't risk more than you can afford to lose, please. It sucks to see anyone, really, really damage themselves financially from just being dumb. Do not risk more than you're willing to lose. It's impossible to know exactly what the market's going to do. So have that in mind when you're making investing decisions. If there's no way to know for sure whether or not something's going to work, is it a good idea to risk your entire financial well-being on that? I mean, many of you will say yes, but I imagine many of it's amazing. There's people who are going to buy Bitcoin down here, okay, and they've lost money during this, okay. There's people who bought Bitcoin in 2015 and have lost money, right? Don't be those fucking people. I think unless you're just like this fucking committed moon boy that we're going to 100K Bitcoin and maybe we fucking will, be smart. Don't be a fucking retard. And yeah, I mean, be patient, right? If you're a trader, forget the fucking forget the access over here, right? Forget the price. Focus on, is there volatility, right? Break down the chart from the weekly, the daily, the 4-hour, and then whatever you want to execute on. Use risk management. Don't worry about missing trades. There's always going to be more. So Sorry about the rant here, but we're 50% off the high after running 300%. Personally, I'm not that bearish macro because of that. We've had a lot of big retraces in bull markets. I believe this is one of them. I absolutely could be wrong, but that's my plan. So same thing for F here. That weekly block is this one. I think this is where the swing low forms. I don't know. We start closing below 150, I'll change my mind. So, was that useful to anyone? I feel like I just yelled at you guys for an hour. What's happening? Orion. All right, I appreciate you guys are. I'm glad to hear you guys appreciate this. I didn't mean to just get on here and yell at you guys for an hour, but you know me, Trader Mayne, he's passionate. He's a passionate motherfucker. So I got a little more time. Fuck, they're trying to smoke me out, this motherfucker. I got a little bit more time here. Does anyone want to see some charts? That's probably what most of you guys came here for. Does anyone want to see some fucking charts? For the right price, James, I'll yell at you like this every day, my friend. Let's get some chart requests. I'm going to go until this says like an hour and 10. So hand me some charts and I'll chart them for you. At 4X, anything's open. All right. So I'll do gold. I'll do Litecoin. I can do Aussie dollar. Link BTC. I hate you so much, James. I thought we were becoming friends. Asking me to chart Link BTC, you son of a bitch. I'll do it. All right, let's start with gold. This is all I trade. Holy shit. We're up 35% on my fucking... I bought this weed stock. I randomly bought this fucking weed stock the other day. Because weed stocks across the board have been getting just smoked, right? Like if you look at, Tilray, weed stocks, these look... Fuck, this is funny. I don't even remember doing this. Oh God, right? Like these things are getting smoked. They look like fucking altcoins, right? So, I don't even know whatever other ones there are, but I can't even remember how I came across this. I saw it somewhere, and I literally bought into this like 2 days ago. So that is fucking big. I'm hyped on that. I'm up. I'm in from like here, so I'm up 10 cents a share. That's hype. Big time hype. You can see I had an alert on here. I've been long gold. If you guys remember, I was bullish on gold here. I posted along on Twitter. What do we got here? We have this monthly, super, super high time frame. The nice thing about commodities and Forex and stuff is you get a ton of price history. So you can go to super high time frame. And what I love about it is if you go to the super high time frame, right, and then you drill down to a lower time frame, these super high time frame levels are gonna have a fucking reaction, right? They're gonna have a fucking reaction, even if it's just for a day trade, right? If it's a high time frame resistance level, even though it can be a huge range, you bet there's gonna be some sort of move down off of it on the low time frame that you can capitalize on. So we had this monthly level, and I don't even remember when I drew this, but I posted this on Twitter at some point. I said, once we get through here on gold, because everyone was getting bullish on gold, like here, and I basically told everyone, I said, once we get through here, it's going through all-time high. So like macro, I'm super bullish on gold. Okay? Super bullish on gold. Once we got through here, absolutely looks great. We're into another area of resistance here, right? So here is the floor of the top, right? That's the top. There's the floor. Once we broke through the floor, now we're back at it, right? Look familiar? This looks like the Bitcoin chart right now. Descending triangle, right? Broke through the floor. Hopefully this isn't what happens, but are we surprised we're seeing some resistance here? So I wouldn't be surprised if we see gold pull back from here into here. If we get anywhere below 1400 on gold, I'm a big time buyer. On a macro level, swing trade level. Okay, let's go down to the weekly. Can I refine? Can I refine my levels based on the weekly? I think I can. Right, so there we are on the weekly, just wick through. To me, this is kind of bullish here, but basically a Darth Maul. You think only crypto is fucking a joke, right? See what's happening here? I'm just trying to see where I got this fucking dynamo level from. 1380. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a lovely level. So, monthly, now weekly resistance, right? Just based on the 3-day chart, the most logical thing looks like we want to come back to here, right? This consolidation that led us to finally break through this monthly block. This would be the swing trade I'd want to be in on gold. So a move down towards like 1440, down to 1400. Any dip below, right? We could dip in a bit, but I would be super bullish on that on gold. But zooming in, right? I mean, I don't know. What time frame are you looking at this? For just looking at this, we have another area of this is the level, right? Right here. So 1500, right? Basically is key. 1500. If we hold above 1500, I think we just continue. And my next target would just be big figure, 1600. So if we can continue to hold above 1500, we're basically right there now. I would get long, targeting 1600. If we, right, because this could be just a deviation, right? Right, so you have I'm just going to delete all this shit for now because we don't need it. Here's your floor. Right? Dip below, we're above, formed a lower high. Right? We formed a lower high here, and this is now a lower low. So this is what you want to be aware of on gold here. This is a break in market structure to the downside by my books. Formed a lower low, and as much as we could come up here again, look at Bitcoin as a perfect example for this, right? I had a chart where I marked this out months and months and months ago. I said, this is now a break in market structure right here. So lower highs are so up moves are for shorting. But then, of course, it happens even to, people who trade like me for a while. All of a sudden I'm at 12K again. I'm like, oh, fuck, maybe this was a fake out, right? Only to find out that eventually, that break in market structure was all you needed to know. This is the trend shift on the daily. The trend is now down on the daily. And since breaking this low, we continue to make lower lows and lower highs, right? So don't sleep on that. Even though we came all the way up here, it's still a lower high after making a lower low. Same thing here, right? This is a break in market structure. So even though we're coming up above here, this could just do this, right? We could even come above here and then come down. So my idea, right, that weekly order block is that monthly order block, right? Sure enough, we have consolidation occurred right within it before it broke out. There's that 1440 level, basically 1430. So to me, whatever move comes up here on gold, I would be looking to get long down in this area for continuation, okay? But if this is just a fake out, right, where's confirmation? To me, confirmation is if we can hold above 15, right? We can hold above here. This will be just, this price action to me will just be deviations below the lows. We can hold above here. I think you have a long you take towards 16K. You could argue that you could long right now. I would wait for a break above and then a pullback, but you could argue that you could long now, and here's your risk, right? There's a trade right there. So I'm either waiting for a breakthrough here, pull back to long, or if this indeed is going to stop price, right? Like if price rejects from here, I'm looking to buy down here, 1440 down to 1400. Okay, that's gold done and dusted. LTC USD. I mean, fuck, it doesn't look good. So what's a key level for me, right? Key levels have significance. A lot of people will draw an order block and be like, well, this order block, right? It says, well, order blocks don't just occur, right? Order blocks need to occur near key SR levels, right? That's one of the key factors for relevancy of an order block. Is it near a key high time frame level? Yes, I use order blocks for entries, actually. Most people are like, oh, it's in an order block, blah, blah. Order blocks are for, absolutely, it's like SR, right? But they need to occur near key levels, right? Why does that order block on the weekly chart on Bitcoin here matter? Because we have key high time frame SR here, right? This is a key high time frame SR level, right? Basically caught the bottom there. Once we got below, that was the last high that led us to there. So yeah, this is an order block I like, right? This is a key level because this lower high here, because this level here, right, formed a lower high here that sent price down a couple $1,000. So relevance matters, right? Significance matters. And so to me, what do I like on this chart here? Not much, but this is a key level, right? Because this candle here, this SR level here, right? When we broke through this level, yeah, we dipped below it, but when we made this level support back here, that led to this move towards all-time high. And then when we lost this level as support, right? Support, break below, look, close below. We dumped off. And then same idea here, close through, retest, ran, right? So Bitcoin 50 to 53 bucks. This is kind of where I'm like, I don't really want to see it get much below here. That would be my kind of analysis for Litecoin here. Not surprised we're getting a bounce here, right? This is obviously a significant level, but I would like to see it, kind of maintain above 50 bucks. Could it go below? Absolutely. The next level I would look at is just this one based on the weekly. So it's okay, right, to be bullish here because really, if we're going to bounce here, we're bouncing it here, right? Like just based on the weekly, if we do break up from here on Litecoin, we're going at 64 bucks. So from level to level, that's a 20% move. Absolutely, you want to be involved in that. And then you can get bearish if the level fails. If we all of a sudden lose this, you have, a move that's 10, 12% in the other direction. So know where you're wrong, base your bias on market structure and key levels, and then look for fucking trades. To me, as long as we're above this level, the most logical thing is that if we're gonna hold this level, is that we go here. If we lose this level, the most logical thing is that we go here, and that's based on the weekly chart, high time frame levels, That is what I'm going to form my bias with. And now when I'm looking for a trade on the intraday, right? Well, we're near my weekly SR level where I want to be bullish to here if it's going to hold. So why don't I look for bullish setups on the low time frame that are in line with that high time frame idea? That's going to give you the higher probability trades. That's going to help you not fight the trend. And if you want help identifying the trend, learn to use moving averages. It's something I used to use early in my trading career, not so much anymore. I've made enemies with moving averages people. They blocked me because they think I don't know how they work. I know how they fucking work. Okay, and people are like, oh well, I was saying the 200, daily moving average, saying you long the bottom because of the 200 daily moving average is dumb. And they're like, well, I did, and this guy proceeded to show me screenshots of these, tiny. But if you're gonna flex with some fucking size. Don't flex with 20K contracts, being like, I bought the bottom. It's like that's 6 months ago. Did you hold that position until 14K, 13K, and then close it? Otherwise, shut the fuck up. Moving averages can be great for learning the trend or identifying the trend, right? You can have two different moving averages that are different periods, maybe a 20 and a 60 or a 50 and a 100. And when they're moving away from each other, that's called stacking. And that means the trend is strong, okay? And you can expect if you're in an uptrend and the moving averages are moving away from each other, the lower one and the higher one are moving away, that means the trend is strong. Continue looking for longs. When the lower moving average gets below the higher time frame moving average, that means that there's a potential trend change coming, right? Or when they're constricting, when they're getting close to each other, it means that price is probably becoming less volatile and a big move is going to come one way or another. But then that moving average is going to have to adjust for that volatility. So in my opinion, they're lagging. I don't think moving averages are a way to enter trades. Being like, oh, well, I bought the bottom because it touched the 200 moving day average. Did you buy it immediately when it touched the moving average? Did you? And then did you hold it? Because if you did, kudos to you. Great, good job. Here's a cookie, right? But for the most part, you're not just going to buy just because it touched the 200 moving day average. Absolutely, it can be used as confluence along with price action and market structure. Now you're talking, right? But just on its own, I don't think it's enough. But I think they're great for identifying the trend, knowing when the trend is strong, predicting when volatility is coming, knowing when to stay in trades longer, getting out of trades. You can do a lot with moving averages, okay? So if you're having trouble identifying the trend, a great way to start or to practice is to, go on any currency pair. Okay, this is what fucked me. I shorted this. I'm like, I'm big, right? I'm like, I'm huge. I was targeting fucking low. I thought all of these things were going to get wiped. And then I woke up to this. Like, what the fuck? Fuck you, Dollar Cat. Anyways, take the daily chart, okay? And then put on a couple of moving averages. Make one of them a 50. This you could also do like a 20 and a 60. One of them 100. Okay. Now, when they're moving away from each other, see how? So the lower time frame one is the blue. So when the blue crosses over the red, right, and they're moving away from each other, you now have a trending environment. And so as long as price is above the blue trend line here, no closes below, and they're moving away from each other, any low time frame trades you take between here and here, only look for longs, ignore shorts. When this trend line is below this one, or moving average, you don't do anything. You wait. Now they're separate again. Right here, officially they're separate again. Now you're looking for longs, looking for longs, looking for longs. We've now closed in beneath it. Now you wait, right? And you wait. Getting in longs again. As soon as we close below, you get out, okay? Goes for both ways, right? If we're in a downtrend, when the lower one is below this one, and they're apart from, and we're not closing within, right? So this entire area from here to right here, right? This is a bunch of trading days. This is, almost 2 months. You're only looking for shorts. And as soon as we start closing inside, you wait. Now we're outside again. You're looking for shorts, close inside, you wait. Wait. And then all of a sudden, here, we're trending again. So you can use these to help you determine the trend and therefore your bias, right? So what I mean by that is between this date and, when we find close within here, on the low time frame, I'm only looking for longs. And that can help you identify the trend, right? That's a great use of moving averages, in my opinion. Sure, I'll do silver. Okay, I'm getting a little bit past my time. I have to go soon, so I'm gonna do odd USD. I'm gonna do Aussie dollar, and then I'm gonna do link BTC, and that's it. Okay. My screen is zoomed in, guys. I apologize. I'm using an external monitor right now because I'm at my office, and I'm using an external monitor which is fucking up with the zoom on OBS Studios, and I'm too old to try and fix it. So I know you can't see the sidebar. I apologize. So I'm going to chart the Aussie dollar now. Right? Like, so to me, the Aussie dollar, right? You have this area here, right? So, but we also have what I would consider obviously a major break in market structure here, right? So I mean, this makes sense, right? Because of how strong the dollar has been, the US dollar denominator getting stronger, right? Aussie dollar is a fraction of the Aussie dollar over the US dollar. So if the US dollar, which is denoted by DXY, if this is strong relative to this, right, what happens to the fraction? The fraction goes down. That's why the Bitcoin dominance chart, right, is basically the strength of Bitcoin. So when the Bitcoin dominance chart is going like this, why are altcoins going like this? Well, because every alt, right, is denominated in Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin is super strong, what do you think is happening to the fraction as a whole? You go back to third grade math, you tell me, right? So to me, macro bearish. Here's another break in market structure. Came up, retested that. So, I mean, I'm looking lower, I think. This looks like it wants to continue down. The only argument really for the bulls here is this is like a falling wedge into that yearly order block, okay? Falling wedge into yearly order block. And the dollar index could be topping out, right? DXY, if the dollar index, DXY, if that's topping out, that would cause me to be bullish here because we are in basically a falling wedge. Maybe I'm going to delete this. Maybe I'm going to monitor. If we find support here, I might look to start building a long position because if we can if we can come out of this falling wedge to the upside, and the DXY, which is near topping out at 100, which I think it is, I think this actually could end up being a nice trade. You got to remember, this is yearly. So just because the weekly looks bearish doesn't mean the yearly is right. But we did have a break in market structure on the yearly, but this is a huge trade for Forex, right? So I actually would be cautiously bullish. Nothing yet. Nothing that I'm entering a trade yet, but I think if we can, to me, there's some demand here. We just made another lower low, but if we can get above here, right? I think there's a potential big trade coming because this is into that yearly block, right? If we can then come above here, right? Your stop goes there. Okay, stop goes here. I think that's a nice potential trade. So if we can get above, 67.5, stop goes down here, target 70. That would be a major swing trade, basically a falling wedge into yearly support. Oh, I apologize. That makes sense. Not being able to see the time frames either. I apologize for that, guys. I have to dip. My girlfriend's calling me 3 times in a row now, so that's probably not good. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm going to do another one of these next week. My goal is to do one of these at least once a week. I didn't do one last week, but before that, 3 previous weeks I did. So, that's my goal. So if you got any questions, anything like that, of course, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys on Twitter, Discords, wherever you follow me. I appreciate you guys hanging out. I'll do link next time, James. You watch my next stream. I promise I'll chart link for you. But yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out and the support as always. Much love. We'll talk to y'all soon.